from Studio 304 in the KCOC Student Center, deep in the heart of Kaufman, Texas, it's The Tonight Show, starring Chris Dow. Tonight, join Chris and his special guest, Cameron Morris. Cameron is a former student and an intern of Chris's and has spent the last 4 years as a student minister in Nashville, Tennessee. Cameron is here tonight to share his journey of faith with you. And now, here he is, your host, Chris Dow!
We've all been waiting for the premiere of Season 2 of The Tonight Show. We made it. We actually got started, actually got it off the ground. We're up, we're going, we're finally back, and we are glad that you made it here tonight. So, you all excited to be here? Yeah. All right. We got a lot of great stuff ahead tonight. We got a lot of great stuff planned for this season, but before we get going, we always kick off with what people are talking about. So here's what people are talking about. So it is the fall time, or autumn for you fancy people. The leaves are changing and beginning to fall from the trees. Cooler weather is creeping in, and yet temperatures still seem to be on the rise.
How does that work?
With fall means it's also the beginning of the dreaded flu season. So, yeah. Got a lot of sick people, already reports of flu and other seasonal crud, viruses and cold spores mucking about, growing in the incubators of the classrooms of the public school systems because school districts don't give sick days anymore for students. You gotta just suck it up, the snot that is, and go to school, share all those germs with all your friends and pass it around to everybody. Wipe your nose and then grab a doorknob, all that fun stuff.
You know there is a way to avoid that. You get the flu shot, and if you work around the school or in the schools, let's get a flu shot.
Well, it depends on the type of flu. You know, there's different types of flu out there. Different ones say different things. So if you come down with the bird flu, it's a pretty bad one, and you have to get a tweetment. For the bird flu. But if you get swine flu, all you need for that is an ointment. So, good. So, we got a lot of great show. Y'all stick around. Hey! Season premiere, and we have some great shows ahead. I know this is a couple of weeks old now, but we weren't on the air a couple of weeks ago. One of our season 1 guests made the news a couple of weeks ago. Our very own James Henderson was inducted into the Kaufman Hall of Fame a couple of weeks ago. They've got a picture of James. There it is. So Doug was given some tickets, so he and I got to go to the lunch and the induction ceremony and hear James's awesome speech. Oh, there you got a picture of James giving a speech. There it is. So
you can always count on the minister's show for a free lunch.
Hey, that's one of the many perks, my friend. So we will always take a free lunch anytime it is offered. It was an interesting thing. I had never. I'd never been to see a guy induced before. So, I mean, I've heard of people getting induced before. I've never heard of a guy getting induced. But James got inducted, so I guess that's what you go to see. Someone getting inducted, they're being induced, I guess. This is for the older crowd. So. We'll edit that one.
All the moms chuckle.
We'll edit, yeah. That's for you all. Thanks for coming. So, we had a great first season. We're excited to be back for season 2, and we have some great shows ahead next week. Yeah. Next week we have Coach Brian Lucas will be here, and I have challenged him to a random item shootout. So put his basketball skills to the test. His wife Jane was on last season as well, and we competed in a random item shootout. And so we're going to see which one of them is better. So see who comes out ahead there. So we got a season filled with a lot of great guests. You really don't want to miss any of the upcoming shows. But first, we got a great show for you tonight. One of my former students and interns, Cameron Morris, is stopping by. Really love this guy. And later in the show, we're going to be doing a game called Russian Roulette. So yeah, fun game. We closed out last season with that. We're going to kick this season off. All that and more right after the break when we come back. Y'all stick around.
Have you or a friend been blindsided by boredom? Were you injured while left alone after school? You need to contact us at after school break time.
I got hit by boredom real bad, but the offices at after school break time got me into a fun-filled afternoon.
We are available every Wednesday after school. Don't let after school boredom wreck your day. Call us at 1-800-BREAK-TIME.
Our guest tonight, as I said, grew up in Alvin, Texas, hometown of Nolan Ryan, for you older baseball fans there. He had a simple and quiet childhood. He grew up in our youth group down there when Stephanie and I were in Alvin. He also interned for me several years later when I was at West Houston. And then he was a youth and family minister major at ACU, and then went on to get his master's degree at Lipscomb University. So yes, he is smarter than me. And then, and then while he was in Nashville working on that degree, he worked at a church as a youth minister there. Spent 4 years there in Nashville as a student minister. He studied at Oxford. He has journeyed around the world, backpacked across France and Spain, and was once tackled by a dwarf playing flag football. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my friend, Mr. Cameron Morris. Well, thank you, Cameron, for coming tonight to our season premiere.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
great.
Sorry, I had to. The being tackled by a dwarf playing flag football was kind of a pivotal moment in your life.
It was one of the few.
And I didn't feel like I would be doing our audience justice had I not mentioned that pivotal moment of life. So we'll get to that little juicy nugget of history.
A little nugget?
Is that what it is?
Okay.
Yeah. So here in a minute, but there you go. So how do you how's it feel to be the season premiere guest, season 2?
Man, it feels good. It feels good. I don't have anything to compare it to because I've never been on anything like this before, but I know that I feel good right now.
Well, this is as good as it gets. This is
This
pretty
is
much
it.
this is
my
the big
pinnacle.
show. This is the big show.
Oh, this is it. I've arrived.
Yeah. There's some guys out there that pretend to have like Tonight shows.
Yeah.
But this is the real one.
This is
the
the
original.
LLC. This is the real one.
This is the real
That's
one.
right. Okay.
Jimmy Fallon wishes he was here.
Yeah, he wishes he could see Chris Dow.
Yeah. So mainly just calling him out. Maybe we'll get a phone call and hook him on the show.
Or his lawyers at least.
Or his lawyers. One of these seasons we're gonna have the season coming up. Jimmy Fallon's lawyers from NBC Studios, deep in the heart of New York.
That's right.
For our audience members, Cameron's going to be sharing with us tonight. And as he talks, if you have questions, which many of you might come up with some questions. As he shares his story, you can text those in, and he'll be answering those a little bit later in the show. So to join that conversation, you can text Chris Dowell 82 to 37607. That's up on the screen and it'll stay up there. You can text in your questions once you have joined. We'll get those up here, and in the next half of our show, we will be answering some of those. If you don't have a texting device, feel free to quietly use your neighbors, and you can send your question in that way. So we can get those in, and Cameron will answer those.
Hit me with the weird ones. I love the weird ones.
There you go.
Hit me with weird questions.
Yeah. Oh,
They'll hit me with them?
They're coming.
Okay,
So,
ready.
so now, Cameron, you have had a very diverse and crazy life. Looking back the years that I've known you. So growing up, you were very introverted and shy.
Very.
Didn't really have any friends.
That's harsh, but true.
So, but there was one friend.
Yes.
There was one friend.
Yeah, we're right off the bat. We're going to this. Huh?
We're just gonna rip the Band-Aid off real quick.
Hit me.
So that way.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Thank you. So.
All right.
So I just want to. We gotta set the tone.
Yeah.
So that people know where we're coming from.
Oh, do you want me to set the tone?
Or
are you gonna set the tone?
You can set the tone.
Oh, okay.
I have your special guest, but you can tell this. You can set it up. You can tell the story.
Okay, great. So, a little backstory before that story. Chris mentioned that I was tackled by a dwarf in flag football. It was one of the many times I've been tackled by dwarves, but the first one sets up this story. So this is kind of a sad story. I don't endorse any of this behavior. This is just where third grade Cameron was, okay? So I was homeschooled, kindergarten, first grade, and then I went into school second grade, and I always had a really difficult time connecting with other kids. And I was really, I was just kind of a strange guy. And I had difficulty making friends, and I was bullied a lot. And it was real bad. And school was hard, and so I thought, like, this is third grade mind, right? Don't endorse this. I was like, the only way I'm going to get out of being bullied is if I bully someone else, right? Sir. Don't endure this. No, yes, sir, it was horrible. And I learned my lesson real quick because I decided, but I was a small guy, so I was like, who am I going to bully? There's this kid named Jonathan who was technically a midget. He was very, very short. He was in our classes, and I thought, I'm going to bully Jonathan. I know, I'm a horrible person. And so in recess that day, it was only a one-day adventure. I went to him, he was playing with a yo-yo. And I said, Jonathan, can I see that yo-yo? And he said, yeah. And so he let me see the yo-yo, and I started playing with it, and it was time to go inside. And he said, I need the yo-yo back. And I said, no, I'm not done with it. Right? And it got real awkward. And he said, no, I need it back. And I was like, no, I'm not done with it. Obviously trying to be a bully, right? But I was real bad at it. And he said, give me it back or I'm going to punch you. And I went, you're not gonna, boom! And then he punches me in the stomach, flat out. I lose all of the air in my lungs, and I fall to the ground. And he walks away, and that was the first time I got knocked out by a midget. He just walks away. Either way, I say all that story to say, from that moment on, I was apparently really, really awkward. Like, I decided that, like, I was never gonna fit in, so I was really quiet, really socially strange, and that lasted until, like, 8th grade. And in part of that stage, to fully exemplify how strange I was, I, at one point in my life, way too far into my childhood for it to be acceptable, I made my own friends out of mud. Because I thought I had no other friends, so I had to make my own. It was so sad, which I think I brought one of them today.
Yes. Now I had heard this story about Cameron, but in my mind, I thought it was like second, third grade, or kindergarten Cameron. And so when he interned for me, we decided we were going to play a joke. And so we remade Mudman for Cameron. And he has a Facebook page. And all summer, we had pictures of Mudman photoshopped into the background of Cameron's pictures from the summer. Oh my goodness.
That's fine. That's okay.
then we presented it to him at the end of the summer, and it was at that point that I found out that it was like 8th grade?
Seventh grade.
7th grade.
7th grade. It's not
Either
eighth.
way, kind of sucked the funny out of it, because at that point I felt bad for making fun of
sad
it.
it was.
Because it was very sad. But so to make up for it, one of Cameron's favorite bands is Family Force 5, and so there's a Family Force 5 concert that we went to, and Cameron couldn't go. So we took Mudman and we had the band sign him. But you get a lot of really weird looks when you take this to an autograph line and ask people to sign it.
What did you say to them? I still don't know. Like, how'd you sell that?
I said it's a really long story and really sad, but we're trying to make it better, and it would help if you would sign it and bring redemption to this dark part of this person's
And Fatty and
childhood.
Crouton were all about
So
it.
yes,
weren't
they were.
Yeah,
They signed it. So Cameron brought Mudman with him. So we'll just he can hot tub it up a little bit while we're talking. So that kind of gives you an idea of where Cameron kind of came from, where he was. We have some pictures. After that pivotal moment.
Yeah.
So you got invited.
After midget 2?
Yes, you got invited to a flag football game. So you want to kind of tell that part of the story?
Okay, so I was
There's
still
a redemption factor. of the
redemption story. This is the good part of the story where things start looking up for Cambo. So I was at church one Sunday, and it was very strange, and the seniors in the youth group invited me out to a football game that day. And it was actually not flag football, it was full contact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
they knew that going in when they invited me. And so they said, hey, we want you to come to football with us. And I was like, I don't know. And they said, it's going to be at the park right by your house. All the guys are going to be there. We'd love for you to be there. So I said, great. And so I show up in a baseball helmet, and I'm like ready to go. And we start playing. And at the time, there was a guy named Tommy who was, I guess he was technically a dwarf. He was from ACU, and he was living in Alvin for that summer. And he was out there playing, but he was like stout. Like he was all muscle, right? And so we were playing football, and I'm very athletically challenged even to this day. And so I wasn't getting the ball. I didn't know what to do. I was just kind of a body on the field. And then they had this little huddle, and I was over here. And then they say, hi, and they throw the ball, and they say, Cameron, and they throw it to me, and I catch it. And I am just, first off, so amazed, not only that they threw me the ball, but then I caught it.
Oh, it's a magical moment.
It was a magical moment. I didn't know I had this ability. Yeah. And I was like, I have the ball. And then I look, and Tommy is hiking it straight for me. And so he runs into me, hits me in the stomach so hard that he picks me up over his shoulders, which is not very tall, and then he slams me on the ground. And I'm just there, and everyone is laughing, and apparently something changed in me at that moment. I don't know what it was, but I came out of my shell. I was broken out of it.
He broke the shell.
He broke my shell.
Yeah.
I think what happened was I realized that no matter what I did in my life, it couldn't be as embarrassing as this moment. And from that point on, I stopped caring at all what anyone else thought about me. And from that moment on, I just started actually being myself.
Yeah.
And I got back into the game, and I caught a few more passes. I was cutting up with them, and from that point on, I was like, just really leaned into actually who I was instead of trying to shrink and be quiet and socially introverted, just because I was scared people would like make fun of me if I expressed who I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how that happened out of that one moment, but somehow it happened. I don't know. It was
I remember I came in to Alvin shortly after this time period. And so people were still talking about, this is Cameron, he's a little off, he's kind of introverted, he's kind of shy, but he's a really sweet kid. And I never saw any of that introverted side, because anytime we had something going, like you were front and center,
there, man.
ready to go, and I was like, there's no way this kid is introverted. He is just ready to go. We have some pictures. We had a
Oh yeah.
this is
good.
Oh yeah, this is you and I boxing.
Yeah. Me getting dominated, you mean?
There's a key thing in student ministry. I'm going to let you in on the secret. I probably shouldn't, but you have to dominate the students early on.
Yeah, start dominating them.
Because one day those 6th and 7th graders will be 400-pound linemen and will be able to stomp you,
Yeah.
but they'll remember
when they were in 6th grade and you dunked them, and they're like, maybe he could still get the best of me, so I'm not going to mess with him.
See, I don't know if you did this, but for me, in my youth ministry, I had to find things that I knew I was better than kids at, because like sports-wise, they're going to beat me any day.
Yeah.
So like what I did was I started trying to invite them out to play Super Smash Bros. Because I really practiced Super Smash Bros. And so if there was a kid like really messing with me, I'd be like, come on over, man, let's hang out, let's get food, let's play Smash Bros. Then I'd make them cry. And then just let them know who's boss, you know.
My career was almost over when I was an intern. A girl challenged me to an arm wrestling competition.
Oh.
I did not lose. I prayed the prayer of Samson. And I barely eked out a win on it. Later found out that she was a power lifter and a Golden Glove boxer.
Golden Glove boxer?
Yeah, the youth minister failed at letting me know those critical things. It was I got very scared. Like as soon as she said go, I was like, this is it. There's no winning here.
That's right.
So next one, you get up and sing. You were up singing karaoke.
Prime, yeah. My belt is like so long. My shirt doesn't match. I'm wearing jorts for some reason.
That was kind of the.
And the jorts go below the knee, so they're more like loose capris. Yeah.
That was the style. Sometime not then though.
It was never style. It was
then there was this one time we were stuck in traffic.
Oh, by the way, that was Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne that we were singing. Just so you know, it has context.
Then there was one time we were stuck in traffic and there was a van in front of us that had this, go to the next picture, had this sticker on it that said, "Ask me about Girl Scout cookies." And so next thing I know, Cameron gets out of the van, like we've been stuck, like it's parking lot traffic, we're just sitting there. And gets out and knocks on this lady's window and asks her about the Girl Scout cookies.
So the immediate thing I hear when I walk up is the doors locking, which lets me know what kind of vibe she's in. And then I ask her to roll it down, and she sees that I'm not. I mean, I'm a little sketchy looking, but like not that bad.
Yeah.
And then I just
a sad puppy dog look to you.
I just asked her how good her Girl Scout cookies were and how much they were, and she was real weirded out. And I said, okay, just wanted to ask what you said, and then I walked away.
There you go.
And then we were stuck behind her for another like 10 minutes,
Yeah,
which was just great.
Then we have, we did a thing down in Houston called Hawk It Up. We go to hockey games. And so this is Cameron and Evan was kind of Cameron, you know, they ran around together all the time. And so their goal was to get on the big screen. So they were always doing things to get on the big screen. So one day I said, guys, we got to dress up so that we're more visible.
Dress up like Wayne's World?
Yes, so we were like going for like the kind of redneck thing. So I went and bought mullet wigs, and we got all dressed up and went to the game, and we got on the big screen like
7 times.
Yeah.
So much.
And then it got to where we'd go to repeated games, and we'd get on the big screen, and the announcer would be like, "Well, there's those guys again."
Yeah.
We went from shy, introverted, like not talking to anybody, to this guy's like up on the Megatron and is known by the city of Houston as like the Houston Aeros like star maniac cheer squad. And then you kind of started getting into like little prankster kind of a feel. And the students there would, I don't want to start this. I'm regretting this. They would roll our house like every weekend. To the point where I was like, they're like, oh, they didn't even care. Like I was walking home from the church building one day. They're in the yard rolling the house and didn't even run away. Like they just stood there and like kept wrapping the house as I'm walking home. Like I was like, guys, it's lost it. It doesn't do anything. Cameron overheard me and decided he was going to be original. So him and Evan and some other guys went and got all of the trees that were left over after Christmas. And loaded up a trailer and brought it was like 40-something trees.
29.
Okay, 29. A little bit of a fish story there. So it was youth ministry math.
Yeah. There's 108.
108 trees. And loaded them up in our front yard. So I woke up the next morning, it is a forest in our front yard. But anyway, so you see this progression.
What she was going to be doing in the future.
Yeah,
That's right.
there you go.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, we got to add it. Cameron was a prophet. So turned my house into the North Pole. So They did hang our Christmas decorations from the trees also. You can't see them in that picture.
We actually put a tree in a tree.
Yeah, you put the tree in the tree.
So we put it in
Yeah.
there.
So then after high school, you got a lot of life to cover still. So after high school, you moved to Abilene. You got a degree in youth and family ministry. Why don't you share with us just a little bit, like your calling into youth ministry? Why youth ministry? Why'd you pick that path?
I think that it kind of goes into a little bit of the story about me being really kind of quiet and not really having very many social connections in school, in that the only place I found that family and found connection and found community was in church. And so continuing to invest in the youth group and to make friends there, and a lot of the work that Chris did when I was in youth group was to try and kind of push me in that direction and try and give me abilities to lead and kind of challenge me to some things that I was like not sure I could do, but when I did them I found out I had a love for them. And that kind of started me on that path. Like I remember there was this one time we were doing a VBS at that one church down the street. What was it called?
Are you talking about when we went up to Madisonville?
No, not that time. The one that was down Highway 6.
Oh, Manville.
Yeah.
Manville Church of Christ.
Yeah, he did this horrible thing to me where he said, I want you to give the sermon at the VBS. And I said, okay, great. I don't know if I can do it. He said, it's cool. I'll write out a script for you. You'll be fine. I was like, okay. And then he doesn't give it to me. And then we're like on the drive out there, and he says, hey, forgot to give this to you. Here it is. Read it real quick. You're going to be preaching in 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like cramming in the back of the bus trying to get a sermon down. And then I get up to stand in front of these people, and it's like 8 senior citizens is all it is that's there. There's no one. But I got so nervous. And I wanted to look like I knew what I was talking about and didn't want to read my notes too much. But also I didn't know what I was talking about, so I just rambled for like 10 minutes, sat down in shame, and I was like, I am never going to talk in front of people again. But then you pushed me to keep doing it. And then since then, and continuing to get up and do prayers for community, even though that first one was wild. that first one was a story. But nonetheless, just continuing to push me into that role and finding out I loved leading in the church, loved being a leader in the youth group. Really made me want to pursue that. And I really, at that time, there wasn't any other thing that I wanted to do more than just kind of do what you did. Really. You want to say something? Just right there. This is sweet.
So I was starting to think, like, I'm regretting asking this question because you're talking about this horrible thing that I did to you, but then, like, you
brought it back. I redeemed you at the end.
That was good. That was good. I was younger back then. I was still green. So yeah. So. And so then, while you were at ACU, you came back one summer, an intern for me at West Houston, and I think, and then you interned at another church in Houston. That next summer, I think, was when Presley was born, and you showed up at the hospital when Presley was born. I think there's a picture of that.
Yeah, I was there when she was born. Well, not there at that
moment.
But I was slightly after.
Saw that, yeah. At a reasonable time.
Appropriate time afterwards. Yeah, that's right.
And then after you finished, you graduated from ACU, you moved on to Nashville, which was kind of a funny story because you went out there to do this master's program, and they were going to get you a job with a local church. And then you moved out there, and they said, "Oh, we moved that to an online program, and you get your own job."
Yeah, pretty much.
But
moved out there for an online program.
Yeah, found out the day after you signed your lease that it was online, and you didn't have to live there.
100%.
But you stayed there anyways. So
I had to legally.
You were legally bonded there.
I was contractually obliged to stay there for 2 months.
But you got hooked up with a church there in Nashville and did youth ministry there for 4 years. So I think we got a picture of you and your youth group up there, maybe. There it is.
This is from our most recent retreat. That was our spring retreat.
Okay, all right. Good. So
I'm on the ground, laying down dead with a girl surfing me on top, on the far corner.
Okay, all right.
The redheaded girl. Yeah, that's me.
Oh, laying face down. Oh,
Yeah,
I did
that's
not
me.
realize she was standing on you.
No, that's
I
me.
didn't
She's
know-
standing on.
Okay.
I think there's another girl behind her named Tara that's also standing on.
Oh,
Yeah.
well there you go. Oh, yep. I see a second pair of feet there.
Yeah,
There you
I've still got back problems.
go. There you go. There you go. That's one of the. It just comes with
It
it.
just
There's pros and cons.
So,
So
introducing one of last year's guests, Dr. Joe Derrick.
there you go.
Oh, that'd be
I
great.
still
Chiropractor.
I still have back problems from our fall retreat in Alvin when Mark bounced me off the blob. Yeah. That pretty much, like, I floated up to the surface with my life jacket. They were asking if I was okay, and I lied and said yes.
I don't think I was there for that.
You're not there?
No,
Oh,
I think I was in Disney World or something.
It was bad, yeah.
Missed
It was
that.
terrible.
That sounds great.
And then tell us a little bit, really cool trip that you and your dad made while you were in Nashville, I guess kind of in between semesters. You made a backpacking trip. You and your dad went on the Camino de Santiago?
Yeah.
Hey, got it right.
Yeah, that was good Spanish.
I believe that's the Way of St. James. My Google translation is correct.
It does.
So, there you go.
It is.
All right, so tell us a little bit about what that is.
So there's this Christian pilgrimage that Christians have been doing for over 1,000 years called the Camino de Santiago, which is the Way of St. James. It's supposedly, in the Bible, there's the two brothers of thunder, James and John, right? Well, James supposedly was a Christian leader for all the churches in the Spanish region. And supposedly he died in a cave there. And then they found his bones, and then they built a giant cathedral on top of it. So what Christians have been doing is they've been going on this religious pilgrimage all the way to where his bones are. And the traditional starting point of it is in a town called Saint Jean Pierre de something like that. I don't know, it's some French. It's some French thing. And it's on the border of France, on the other side of the Pyrenees. And then you walk over the mountains and then into Spain the first day. And then you walk all the way across Spain until you get to Santiago, which is about 500 miles from there. And so me and my dad did that right after I got my master's degree and before I started the full-time ministry. I told the church, okay, I'm going to take off this summer and me and my dad are going to go do this pilgrimage, and then I'll come back afterwards and I'll start the ministry program. And so, we went and did that.
So how long did it take you? You said 500 miles?
Yeah, it was about 500 miles.
And how long did you spend backpacking?
I think we walked 35 days.
35 days.
I
Wow.
think
I think we have some pictures.
Yeah.
there you go. So
It was
there's the
very
road.
cool. Lots of nothing in between.
Yeah, you and your dad, and so some of the countryside there.
Yeah, so that one, that one on the side is the French part,
Okay.
and that other one is also the French part as well. The most
So-
difficult day is the first day of the walk, because you're literally going up a mountain range and then kind of start to come back down at that first day. And so you're out of shape, you're not used to the weight of your pack, and it's like, it was uphill for 6 hours. We were both just like, we're going to die on this path. We are not going to make it a month and a half. Right? It's bad now. About a month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like wilderness trek on steroids. So like we do it in a week, and you do like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So that's intense.
It was fun.
So you've done a lot of amazing things in your life, whether you admit it or not. So you have a lot of inspiring things just to see, and especially to be one of those people who got to see a little bit of where you started and heard a lot of stories of where you started, but really got to see you go and grow into the person that you are. You have so many abilities and talents, and just coming from someone who kept those hidden and so introverted at a young age, and then just to explode, and it's like you're making up for all of that time that you hid those things away. It's just awesome to hear those things, the joy that you have in sharing those, the willingness, the transparency that you have. As we kind of go through, kind of finish up this section, is there anything else you want to share with our students tonight? Kind of one message you want to leave with them, or any other stories you want to tell? Or
Let me think. I guess I would say two things. One is that that throughout your life, you're going to discover more and more what it means to trust God. And you're going to be challenged in a lot of ways on that, but it's always worth it. There were multiple times in my life where I was put in situations where I had no clue if I was going to succeed or I was going to fail, because I'm someone who struggles with a lot of self-doubt. I think that a lot of times the things that happen to you when you're a kid stay with you for a long time. And so still, even now, I hear a lot of those voices of like my bullies and the people that picked on me, and I'm constantly told in my head that I can't do something or that I'm even worthless. But I have had to kind of fight against those and still lean into trusting God more and more and more every day. And when I do that, I'm always constantly surprised by what he does and when he shows up, and he always shows up in amazing and powerful ways. And that's hard. And it's one of those things where in church, I think that churches don't really, a lot of churches, I don't know about here, I'm sure y'all do a great job, but at least I know a lot of churches I've been to don't really teach you how to trust God. We say just do it, but then you're like, okay, how do I do it? And it's one of those things because it's not really something you can teach because it's different for every person.
Yeah.
It's very individualized. And what does it mean for you to trust God? Because we each have our different things that we have to let go of to trust God, right? But whenever you do that, whenever you find that moment where you decide, I can either trust me or I can trust these negative voices or I can trust God, if you do that, you'll be constantly surprised by the amazing grace and love that he has for you. Which goes into the second thing I want to say, which is that God is so big. Like, I've constantly been having to reevaluate how big God is, because we do this thing where we want to understand God, but the human brain can't understand God, right? So we make God smaller. And then when we do that, we put him in a box, and we don't fit, and he has to fit in this. But life is a constantly moving journey of figuring out just how much we don't know about God, because he's so big and so great. Which is cool, because the more you learn about that, the more you realize, like for instance, right? If you just look at nature and you look at the world, right? We're going to do a little intro into natural theology, right? You look at everything that exists, and I think it's hard not to see that there's some kind of a plan and there's not some kind of creator to it, because life is so detailed. You look at every animal, and every animal knows exactly what it's supposed to do in its role in the world, which is crazy. And then your body itself is a universe in and of itself. You've got billions of cells living inside of you that each have a role, and each know exactly what they're supposed to do. And then you go outside of that, and you look at Earth as a planet, and then you think there's billions of planets in the Milky Way, and there's billions of galaxies, and yet God didn't even supposedly lay a hand on that. He spoke it into existence. And yet we think that our problems ourselves are too big for God to handle, right? Even when he did all of those things. Which goes into, if God is that big, and he's the most intelligent and most powerful thing in the universe, then he's also the most understanding being in the universe. So whatever I'm going through right now, whatever the struggle is that I can't forgive myself for, or I just don't think I can get over, God already understands that and has already forgiven you. And so you can lean in and trust on that. But that just takes a lifetime having to unlearn things so that you can learn something new and powerful.
I like that. I like that. I was thinking about, as you're talking about that trusting God portion, one of those things that you kind of said in that kind of pivotal, life-changing moment when you had, the wind knocked out of you and your shell broken off, and you're laying there on the ground contemplating the rest of your life. That idea of, being who you are, and who you are is who God created you to be. And so I think part of that trust is also trusting, all right, this is who I am, this is who God made me, and I need to trust that it's a good thing, because God does good things.
Yeah, that's right.
And not care about what the world thinks, not care about what the people around me think, and just put myself out there and be who God made me to be, and it'll all work itself out. And you did that, and you lived that to the extreme. You went to the other side where, before there'd be things that you would do, like Mudman, and people are like, what's up with that? And well, that's Cameron. And then there's times like when you're in the youth group and you're going up and knocking on some random van asking about Girl Scout cookies, because they have a bumper sticker that says, ask me about Girl Scout cookies, and people are like, what's up with that guy? It's like, that's Cameron. You never know what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious, and he's funny, and he puts himself out there, and he just does. And you continue to do that through your life, trusting in God and the way that he created you, trusting in God and the opportunities that He puts before you, and just that willingness to lean on Him for everything. So
in those moments that seem like most challenging, it's a little cliche to say that like the thing that's most challenging for you, you can use it to help someone else, but it's so true, because like now, like I love like my favorite thing to do in youth ministry is to find those kids that were like me in 7th grade, like the Mudman kids, you know? Like I love them because like you can see them, they're kind of off by themselves a lot of time, and I like try and really go and just like so mean, just like go and like invest in those kids and give them like what I needed at that time. And help them discover, like, hey, whoever you are is okay. Yeah. If you love making mud people, go on and do it, man. I just love you. Like just feed into that and give them someone to rely on in those moments. And so that thing that was really a difficult time in my life especially equipped me to help people come more to themselves and to come alongside them. Because ministry is, according to Randy Harris, and I believe this to the day, it's 80% just showing up.
Yeah. Being there. So, and there's it's very much the same. There's a lot of, I think that was what kind of made our connection, was I was that shy, introverted kid. I didn't make any mud people, and I wasn't ever tackled by a vertically challenged person. But I was that shy, quiet person. And I didn't really come out of my shell until I was about to graduate high school, really. And so, I saw, it was kind of one of those deals where I saw a part of myself, in you as that introverted kid, kind of finding yourself and who you were. And so it was very easy to kind of pour into that. And so you, in the same way, finding those kids that you identify with. And, we have a similar storyline. We have a similar path that we're walking. We can journey. I've been down that road. We can journey it together. And that's what Christianity is about. We all have our own paths, but we're all walking in somebody else's footsteps. And there's somebody else that's walking in ours. And so we can find those people. There's those people that are going to pour into us and say, hey, I've been down this road before, come follow me. And then we can always look back and find those people and say, hey, I've been down this road before, come follow me.
There's nothing wrong with being introverted, by the way.
Oh, no.
That's a wonderful thing. I think most of the prophets in the Bible were introverted.
Yeah. So,
they went out when they had to.
Yeah.
They never go, you got to go do this. And I want to talk in front of people. Like, do it. Okay. So,
when God says to do it, you're going to have to.
You kind of got it.
It's not a bad, it's not, and it's probably one of those, like, I don't think I was introverted. I think I was pretending to be, I was hiding myself.
Same.
So, I think introvert is kind of that thing that we stick on it, but
it's a bad name.
Thank you for making that point that it's not a bad thing, it's not a negative thing, it's who you are.
It's bad to live in a false self. You're introverted, live into that. It's great.
So,
vice versa.
But I don't think anyone would describe you as an introvert at this point. So you were kind of living in a false self. So it's finding who God created you to be and live that out. So we got some questions that have been rolling in. If you have some others, send those in, and we're going to get to those, answer all those questions after this next commercial break. So if you have any more, send those in now. We'll be back after this. So stick around.
From day to day, we must choose how we will live our lives.
I've always preferred the cream part of an Oreo. That's crazy. The cookie's the best part. Cream. Cookie. Cream. Cookie. Cream. Cookie. Cream. Cookie. Cream. Cookie. I'm calling the cops. Cream. You guys have to stop fighting.
Which side will you choose? Junior hires, join us Sunday mornings at 9:30 as we dig into the foundations of Christian living.
I don't know if the video is completely applicable to the class, but I just really liked it.
It is very good.
I was like, I gotta find some way to make this
very good.
Kind of twist this and make it work. So, all right. So we got several things, a lot of questions that have come in. So we'll start off with a really deep one here while we got the moment. Cameron, what's on your socks?
Oh, those are bananas on skateboards.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to lead off with that, but there's actually several questions about your socks. So there you go. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I know. It's out there.
Let's see. Was Chris as weird as he is now? Thank you.
I have no context.
When he was your youth minister.
Yeah.
And tell us an embarrassing story about him.
Oh, man.
Skip that one.
Oh, man. Are we skipping it or are we diving in?
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Let me think of a couple.
No, they just said a singular.
Yeah, let me think of 7.
We got lots of other questions here. Some of these may be more serious.
What do we count as embarrassing? Or like one that you would be embarrassed by? I don't think that exists. Oh man. There was one time we pulled a prank and Chris almost got arrested. That was exciting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was good. He had to show it to the police office and everything.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
turned out to be a prank in and of itself.
Yes.
And the person he was pranking called the police and brought them in on the prank.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It
Yeah.
was wild.
Yeah, I thought it was like I hadn't even been there 6 months at that point.
Oh yeah, yeah. 100%.
I'd been there almost a year at that point because it was the start of the second summer, I think. So
Yeah.
So we these girls wanted a prank war, and so we got in a prank war, and it got really crazy.
It got escalated.
It escalated very quickly. And then the parents got in on the prank war and pranked me, and I don't really prank anymore. So we decided to call it a draw. So yeah, when I thought I was losing my job.
I was almost crying.
Yeah,
it was
there were some
crazy.
tears that were shed. I went to the police station, turned myself in. They looked at me like I was an idiot.
And there were people outside the
And then
police
I walked
station
out of
with
the, I
cameras.
said, I think someone's pranking me. And then I walked out of the police station, and all of the moms and the daughters are standing outside with video cameras.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
And then you called us to try and make us think we were getting arrested.
'cause y'all went
I
home
thought
with
you were
this-
ride or die.
Y'all
And then you came into me and you tried to prank me. I was on the same team.
Well, I was not in the prank alone. Y'all went home and went to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I was up dealing with the police, and I felt like y'all needed to be a part of that.
He calls me and Evan saying, "You're about to get arrested." And
You
I'm
need to
like,
call your parents because
"What?"
the police are on their way. So,
What?
yeah. Evans just said, "I don't believe you. I'm going back to bed." You bought into it.
I got
so-
anxiety, so I was like,
And then I felt bad.
Yeah.
So totally, that whole thing backfired on me completely.
Yeah, it was all you. You took the whole brunt of it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
All right. Are you planning on growing your beard as long as Chris's?
I don't think I have the ability. Like I've tried, and like post Camino, it was pretty thick. But the problem is, and I don't know how you deal with it, I don't like food getting stuck in it because it happens all the time. And there's this problem, where you're taking a shower and then you go and dry everything off. It takes forever to get water out of your beard. It just retains so much water. I hate it. And so after a while, I just shave it off.
Yeah.
Mainly out of laziness.
It's the life we live in.
No, you're sane.
So, all right. Here's one. A little more serious note. So how did you stop being awkward?
I think I became more awkward. And then eventually, I don't know, people just started accepting who I was because I stopped caring if they accepted who I was. And then it just kind of slowly fade away. I think that for a lot of people, high school sometimes gets a little easier than junior high is. In junior high, no one wants to stick out, and so what they'll do is they'll try and pick on the people that stick out a little bit. At least in my experience in high school, it was a little bit easier because people kind of stopped caring.
Yeah.
And then kind of the quirkiness of who I was, I started to be able to make friends with that. And so as you get older, you'll start to realize that the things that are probably most awkward about you are some of the most beautiful things about you. And those are the things that are going to stick out and people are going to notice and that you're going to be able to use to further God's kingdom.
Yeah.
And so I didn't become any less awkward. I'm still so awkward.
Oh, yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
And it's great.
And I think that's a different, and I can attest that he didn't stop ever being awkward. He just owned it.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. When you own it, it's just who you are, and people accept it because you're putting yourself out there. People actually respect you for it.
Yeah.
Like there was one time he had grown his hair out really long, and his hair just stuck straight out. It was straight
It was impressive.
and just stuck straight out. And then
Yeah,
it was
really was.
literally, it was the weirdest thing. And then his mom trimmed it one time, and it just fell. It was like it never stuck up again. And he showed up to my doorstep, almost in tears. And I mean, he looked. It was really well. It was like a girl's hairdo almost. It was not good at all. He's like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like, he was so proud of his hair, and I was gone. I was like, he's like, just shave my head. I want you to shave my head. I'm done. I want to get rid of this. It doesn't look good. And so jokingly, I was like, dude, if you're going to shave it, like, have fun with it. Because I had just done that with my beard. I shaved my beard off, and I did a bunch of wacky things with it. And so he said, all right, shave a mullet. And so, like, just with, like, school scissors and, like, clippers, like, the nastiest, rattiest, like, mullet.
Dirty. It was gross.
And he pulled it off. I mean, he owned it, and he made it look good. And so it started off, you were going to do it for one night. We were going to a pool party. You were going to wear it for the pool party, then I was going to shave your head. Then someone at the pool party is like, dude, school starts in a couple weeks. You should wear it that way for the first day of school. You got to school. People respected you for it. And so you kept it for like a month.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And the best part about that was I had just gotten a girlfriend
like
3 days before the mullet thing. And she was so mad.
She was not happy.
She was
with
like,
me
what did I
at
agree
all.
to? Because I showed him I had this Joe Dirt mullet.
I did feel bad about that until your mom wrote me a thank you card,
She
which
did.
was the
She went
weirdest.
to Hallmark.
It was the weirdest thing.
She did.
Weirdest thing. All right, one more kind of serious question here. So how do you live with the bad childhood memories, and how did you move past that?
So about less than a year ago, I went to a conference by these guys that do a podcast I love to listen to called The Liturgist. And they're real like meditative and kind of like they do spiritual practices and all these things like that. And we were at this conference, and at one point we did this spiritual practice where they asked us to close our eyes and breathe deep and get to a relaxed state. And then they asked us to picture ourselves as a child from when we were feeling insecure, and just put that person in front of you, sitting down in front of you. And so then, I pictured myself, and I pictured a young Cameron just sitting in front of me. And they said, have a conversation with that kid. What do you want to tell that kid? Right? And it was just such a powerful moment. And I just remember telling him to, first off, that it's okay. Like, everything that's happened, look at what has happened along the way. And know that it's okay. And know that everything that happened, good came out of it. Right? And so what I do is I look at where God has brought me since that point, and I'm amazed at the amazing work that God has done from me since then. And so I stopped letting those things define me, because anything that you see in yourself that you think is a problem, you're going to be insecure about it. Right? And so I've stopped looking at those things in the past as a problem, but more of those are some things that I deal with, but I've already beaten those things because God's already beaten those things. And so now I'm going to live more into the quirkiness of who God has made me to be, I guess. And so I've just kind of stopped letting those be who I am, because I don't want to be stuck in that. Right? I want to be where I have been, where God has brought me into.
Yeah. It's all, everything that happens in our life, good or bad, it's all part of our story. And overall, our story is good as we live out our story in Christ. God can redeem all things. God can work through all things. And so in those negative things, those bad things that happen, I think accepting those as a part of who we are, because I think later in life we look back and we realize I'm the person I am because of these things that happened to me. And I'm a stronger person now than I was then, or I'm more equipped now than I was then, and you have those things, and God finds ways to redeem those things. like you said, talking about finding people who are journeying that, to be able to share in that road. It doesn't necessarily make it a good thing, but when you're able to help somebody else who's in the same spot, and say, I was once in your shoes, I was once there, it helps you kind of redeem those bad moments and say, okay, I made it through that, and now I'm getting to help somebody else through that to make sure that they come out stronger on the other side as well.
Yeah, if you let it, it has the opportunity to fill you with so much more love. Because whenever you look at people that are in that scenario, you can feel what they feel, right? Yeah. There's some people that like professional athletes and stuff. I have no clue how they feel, so it's hard for me to connect with that. Like, I feel how a kid feels when he's bullied, and I can connect with that. I can love on that kid, and yet at the same time, it's also giving me more of a perspective on the people that bullied me. Because whenever I was able to forgive all those people for the things that they did, I saw that they were probably just as insecure as I was at that time. And so I can speak to them and talk with the kids in my youth group that maybe had bullied other people in a way that, like, I don't think you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this in a way that we can address the issues that you've got going on with yourself.
All right. Well, thank you. So one last thing, just because like 6 people texted in, where did you get your socks?
Online.
All right.
I think they were gifted to me.
Gifted to you?
I think a kid gave them to me.
Mystery.
Mystery.
The world may never know.
The world may never know.
So,
I'll probably just Google banana socks.
We're almost out of time, but we do have, before you go, we have a fun game tonight we like to call Russian Roulette. We want to play that. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your life with us, your stories. And so we're going to play that game right after this last commercial break, so y'all stick around.
Life on Earth is a delicate balance of relationships, especially with those in our individual family groups. Sometimes we break that delicate balance. High schoolers, join us Sunday mornings at 9:30 for a study of Christian families as we dig into what it means to live as Christians in our households.
Hey man, what's wrong? Oh no, you don't have any money? Well, how are you going to pay for all the cool stuff we have coming up, like Winter Retreat and Soul Link? Oh, don't worry, man. You could help spread the word and come to the Freddy's fundraiser from 5 to 8 on Monday. Oh, you could also sign up for the job board. You know, spring and summer trips are going to be here before you know it. You better start saving now.
We're back, and before we close out, Cameron and I are going to go head-to-head in a game we like to call Russian Roulette. So Todd, you want to tell us how this game works, please?
Okay, well, Christopher, here in my hands I have a dozen eggs, and 8 of them are boiled, 4 of them are not. So you and Cameron will get to choose one at a time the eggs. You will not know which ones are hard-boiled, which ones are raw.
Right.
And once you choose, you have to smash it on your head. The first person that smashes 2 raw eggs on their head loses.
All right. Cameron, you are our honored guest.
Okay.
So I'm going to allow you to go first.
Oh, like this moment right now?
Yes.
Oh,
Choose wisely, my friends.
all right. Oh man, so much eggs on
Technically
this.
out of time. They're going to cut to the
So we
whatever's
gotta
on
be quick.
after us.
Oh,
so, yeah,
man.
network will cut
The
us.
late show.
Yeah, the
Oh,
late
no.
show. It's going to
That's
cut
with
over.
Doug Page.
Yeah.
Does it matter where my head is smashed?
Wherever you want to. So,
Well,
yeah. But
that's a good
Yeah.
shout. Thank you so much.
that's.
Excellent. Yes.
She just doesn't want us to see the eggs that we're
Do you
picking.
want one? Do you want one? You can have this
All
one.
right. All right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah. You gotta hit y'all's heads hard with it. Anyone want to eat this? Anyone want it?
All right.
You got it?
That's not long.
All right,
Yeah.
feeling
Feeling
good.
my hair.
Feeling good. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Well done.
All right.
No.
Okay.
Took your glasses off. You can't see anything now.
You're right. I'm
Yeah.
legally blind.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh!
This one. I cracked it good. Who wants
There
it?
you go.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, that was your last one.
Oh yeah, that was the last one. That was the last one. All right. All right.
Pick it up and just know. Just know what's about to happen.
Just know. Anybody want this? All right. All right.
Oh man, I don't know about this one.
Not too
All
hard.
right.
I don't want
You can even up the game here, Cam.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
All right.
Did we not put gnats out there? I didn't.
No, we just put. This is a low budget show. We just had.
So we only had two bags.
We had 2 trash bags
Right.
for the immediate area.
Oh man, they're so
All right.
thin.
All right. Here we go. Here we go. I'm still driven from the last one.
Yeah, buddy, come on, come on. I can't tell anymore if you're so shiny.
I know. It's great for your hair, though. I don't have any there, but it's good for it.
I think you're Bogart and all the good eggs, so I'm gonna reach over to your side
All right.
and I'm gonna grab one from over
Oh,
here.
go over the corner.
Okay.
Oh. All right.
Any takers anymore?
All right.
So far.
I'm gonna go from your game book, and I'm gonna take one from your corner as well.
I've sabotaged it.
You sabotaged it.
Sabotaged it.
All right, here we go. This could be the game right here. Here we go.
Boondaggle.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have.
I see this clearly.
Show, but let's pray as we close out tonight. Father God, we thank you so much for everything you bless us with. We thank you for Cameron. Father, I thank you for just the awesome individual that you have created him to be. I thank you for all of the ways that you have moved in his life, all of the ways that you have just grown him and moved him to right where you would have him to be. Father, I pray that he would continue to trust you, continue to listen to you, continue to follow you all the days of his life. Thank you for all of the lives that he impacts, the students that he has impacts on, and just pray that you will continue to use him in powerful ways for the rest of his life. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. All right, thank you guys.